the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.
Well, in 200 years, I mean, you're going to say a couple things wrong.
Yeah,
You're not going to get.
it's fair.
You're not going to get everything right.
The supercut is going to be amazing.
Well,
a 200-year supercut?
A 200-year supercut of every time I said a bad word,
And we bleeped
an
it?
inappropriate phrase, or just something that was factually just inaccurate.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty remarkable.
You know, maybe
Pretty
we should
humiliating,
Maybe
actually.
we should release a uncensored, like, you know, back in the day that was like the appeal for DVDs or like something you could buy online was like the uncensored, unrated version of American Pie or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we could totally do a Biofriendly podcast uncensored. And it's just one episode, so it's got all the you have to be of age to click on it, and it's just literally a supercut of just every single word.
My nipples through the shirt.
No, it's literally close. Yeah, that's on the case.
That's on the case.
No, but it's just a supercut of every time I bleeped him, but I take the bleeps off, and it's just one after the next. Just oh my gosh,
potty mouth
just
central.
enough to make George Carlin blush in his afterlife.
I really am rotten.
No, you're not. No, you're not at all. You know what you are?
What am I?
You're a dad.
I am, aren't I?
You're a dad.
So
Dads have the tendency to kind of, it's parodied in movies and in television shows. Dads have the tendency to, you know, say the thing, and the wife is like, honey, stop. You know, I'm sorry. It just gets me riled up.
it does get me riled up. That's the thing. It gets me riled up.
Gets me riled.
Yeah, well, and also, you know what's funny is when you're first a dad and you are trying your best to be a good dad and to not give that horrible language to your children that you inherited from your father.
Of course.
Because I did inherit this from my father.
Yes.
No one else was. In fact, the whole neighborhood, all of the kids in our neighborhood would swear.
Inherited it from your dad.
Because my dad would swear to me and Mike, and then Mike and I would then swear to the other kids, and then their kids would go home and swear to their parents.
Yeah.
And their parents would come home and say, they said they heard this from Michael. They said they heard this from Noel. And my mom would be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. My boys, they do that. And they'd be like, where did you hear these words? Where did you hear those words? And be like, Dad.
I heard it from listening to you.
And then Dad would be like, hey, it's be all right.
Just words.
It probably did.
Probably did. Probably got mad.
But I tried. I swear to God, I tried. I was so good.
You did, and we did.
For the first, I would say, 13 years of my daughter's life, 10 of my son's.
Yeah.
I was very embarrassingly wholesome with my words.
So wholesome.
I would say the stupid, like the dad corny word for everything.
Yeah.
And after a while, I think it made me a little bit uncomfortable. Sorry about that.
He went for it. We're just pulling the bandage off now, guys.
For my wife. Like after a while, she was like
you got a little bit too much of a goody.
Can you talk like a guy and not like somebody's like
Mr. Rogers?
Yeah. Somebody's like television
kind of
PBS.
corny. Yeah.
I think that she was a turnoff. Like at some point, she's like, I don't know if I would have married you. If this was the
You're like
situation.
Stuart Smalley all of a sudden. You're just like, oh shucks.
She's like, you're kind of lame right now.
Yeah.
So then I tried to peel it back to something in the middle, and I have to admit, I don't have a middle.
Yeah.
I don't have
You're one or the other.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
I either go full corn dog, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
And then I can hold that and keep that going.
Yeah, you can hold that.
Or I'm just who I am, Chief. Yeah. I am who I am.
I am who I am, Chief. I am who I am.
Because I tried, and it was a total failure. And ever since then, I've kind of become like my father before me.
Yeah.
A dark Sith Lord of swearing.
A Sith Lord, a dark swear lord, swear lord. No, it's funny, and it's the way that I've known you for a long time. He reads a story or a news report, or he sees something that irks him, and it gets in his head. And then I think it just starts to grow, and it gets like more and more, and eventually it's just got to come out of your mouth. Like you process the news that you're hearing, and then it's like in your brain there's a guy with kerosene just like, and then you're just like,
the fire's just growing.
I just need to say this right now, and then once you say it, you're like, I'm good, I'm fine. that right there, that guy.
We released it.
I gotta say this, yes, and it comes out. So if you hold on to the thing is, if you're Mr. Corn Dog, Mr. Rogers, if you're that, then eventually Kerosene Guy is like, what's he gonna do? He's gonna eventually just like he's gonna break out of your body, and you're just gonna become the Incredible Hulk of swear words.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
You can't hold that too long.
Corn Dog Rogers versus Kerosene Guy is a battle that's been in my head for a long time.
Corn Dog Rogers versus Kerosene Guy.
Write that down.
Yes, write that down.
Corn Dog Rogers versus Kerosene Guy has been a battle in my head for a long time.
I love that. Did you watch, by the way, I know
I want to remember that one, Roddy.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Corn Dog Rogers versus Kerosene Guy. It's been a long battle in my head. Has it been a lifelong battle in my head?
It has.
Do you remember the show? This is tangential. Look, we're the Biofriendly podcast. We're going to get to the news here in a second. We're going to get to the story, but
It has been lifelong. It's better than long time. Let's go with that. Lifelong battle.
It's been a long
A lifelong battle in my head.
yeah, lifelong battle. I was going to say, do you remember long before the Pixar film Inside Out?
Classic.
Classic. There was a TV show called Herman's Head.
Yes. Do you know that the lady, the uptight, friendly lady in his head is my neighbor.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yes, she was walking down the street and
And you were like,
I was walking down the
Herman's
street and I was
Head.
like, hey,
That's
I love your work.
amazing.
And she's like, oh, thank you so much. And then-
That's so cool. That's so cool. So Herman's Head was this. Have you ever seen the Pixar film Inside Out?
Yes.
Okay, that's the one that is
Emotions.
The emotions in the little teenage girl's brain, and she's got anger, she's got disgust, she has sadness and happiness
and angry.
Yeah. I think I said that one, but
I
anyway.
don't think you did, Jacob.
I think I said that.
I think I said that one, Veronica. I don't know, Margot.
Rule number one in this office is we don't argue with Veronica. She
Yes.
said so.
I know. So Herman's Head was a television show that long existed before that movie. It was on TV, and it was about
really
this.
funny.
It was really funny. It was this guy Herman, and you'd cut to this like living room scene basically, and they were all the people inside of his mind, his different feelings, and it was this exact same
show.
concept
Yeah.
as
Okay.
Inside Out. It was literally his really dirty boy kind of like wants to get with the girls, and then it was he had like the politeness and the rude, and so he had all these characters in his head, and so I love the idea of bringing back a Herman's Head, but it's Noel's brain, Noel brain, insane in the Noel brain, and it's basically Kerosene Guy versus Corn Dog Rogers. There's a few more. You're a very
It's basically just them.
no. You're a complex.
There's one guy who wants to light it on fire,
No.
and one guy who wants to
No,
protect it.
I know who else is up there. Sledge is up there.
Yeah, he's there.
Doc is up there. Charlie's up there. All the characters that you've ever played and anything you've ever done are probably in there. It's a crowded house.
I'm a little insane. I'm starting to wonder if maybe
So
I'm
am
just
So am I. We all are.
maybe I'm just gonna lose it.
We're all a little insane, and it's because we do things like a show where we talk about environment and then we turn it into bits and humor.
Yeah, the whole time.
The whole time. Yeah. So anyway, well, hi everybody.
Hi.
How are you doing? Hi Ronnie. How are you?
Sorry.
I love it.
I'm a little insane. How are you?
It's a good transition, right?
I'm good.
You're a little insane too. We're all a little
No.
insane. No. Heavens to Betsy, no. I have my new.
Totally and completely sane. Don't say otherwise.
I have my new coffee mug.
I am thrilled.
Yeah, so I know
this coffee mug.
listener, if you don't watch the show, but I've been using the same kind of little squatty. It had BMW on it. It was the squatty Yeti coffee mug. I wanted something fuller that could hold a little bit more Java, and this one says on it, "Dad joke loading."
And that has a loading bar on it that's
Loading
like
bar.
3/4 full.
Yeah, so it's like once I finish this, the dad jokes are just gonna fly. That's a perfect mug for
Yeah.
me.
And it also came with a bottle opener that said "for dad joke fuel."
Dad joke fuel. Yeah. So I mean, come on.
And we got it at Ross.
We did. We got it for a deal on sale, like
sale.
a dad would.
Yeah. And also I got a pizza tray at the
You
Ross
got
at
a
the same
pizza?
day.
Yeah, it was a great-
because I
it
needed
was
because
a-
I cook pizzas at home.
It was a great day. It was a great day. I literally talked about I went home and I said, Noel's going to teach me a really good pizza recipe. And I talked about it over the weekend.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to love it.
I can't wait.
You're going to lose your mind.
I've already lost my mind.
Yeah, you're going to love it. It's going to be healthy. It's going to be great.
Can't wait.
The flavor is going to be outrageous.
gonna
The
be
music's contagious. Gem.
Totally outrageous. All right. Why does it seem, is it just me? Does it seem exceptionally quiet in the room? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because our voices are really amplified in our headphones or something right now. It just feels, there's no noise coming from anywhere. You know what I mean? It's like really still. I feel like usually there's air blowing.
Did someone unplug the nuclear reactor?
I think so. We need to plug that back in or we're going to have
probably.
a major problem.
Yeah, that could be an issue.
We're going to have a major problem. Yeah. So, should we dive in? We've already been really tangential up top here. Should we dive into the subject?
Oh, let's dive in.
Let's dive
and
in.
let's get tangential about that.
Let's get tangential about the subject.
I love it.
So, speaking of diving in,
Yes.
this week is about oysters.
Oysters?
Oysters, yes. But more specifically,
We love oysters.
we love oysters.
You know why?
Why?
Because they have the cutest name of all of the animal kingdom.
Yeah?
Oyster.
Oyster. It is. If you think, can you do your kid voice?
Because I have the best name I ever have come in the whole world. It's called the oyster.
See? Adorable.
Yeah.
If you've never thought to yourself, that's a cute name for a critter. You're
It
like,
is so
oyster.
cute. Who wants an oyster?
Oyster crackers. Do you have oyster crackers?
Well, that's the sad part is they keep getting eaten all the time.
right.
Like these poor guys.
I know.
They're out there
cute
like,
name.
I'm just an oyster. Please don't eat me.
They can't even run.
Could you leave me alone? Because I've just got my show.
They just lay
And
there.
if we tear my show open, then I'm going to die of it.
Then we just eat you up. Well, that's exactly what happened.
And they're called oysters.
They're oysters.
Just super cute.
Super cute. And they sometimes have pearls in them. Sometimes. But they are, the sad news is they got completely, this is in Scotland. So these aren't just any oyster. These are Scottish oysters. They were completely picked clean out of this certain area in the 1800s. Like they were fished and gone. Like there's no more oysters remaining in this area.
I don't prefer the flavor of oysters. Some people love those oyster shooters. They can't get enough of them.
Unique. Have you ever had an oyster?
I have.
We had one when we had that dinner that one time.
Yes.
It's
okay.
slimy. It's slimy.
It's okay.
It's slimy.
The texture's a bit odd.
It's gray jello, basically. Fishy gray jello. I do enjoy it, but I do because I add horseradish, and the horseradish makes my kind of like my head kind of go whoa, like gives me that buzz.
Yeah.
So I think I'm more crazy about the horseradish than I am the oyster. So I
So
could
maybe
probably
just eat the horseradish.
I'll just eat horseradish from here on out.
Just get a spoonful of horseradish.
Now that you did the oyster voice, I feel terrible ever touching
You
an
gotta
oyster.
think about these poor guys.
I know.
You know, they're so cute, and they've got a cute little name.
I know.
No more seafood towers.
Yeah.
So,
no more seafood.
No
but you actually
more
love seafood towers.
Yeah, that's like your favorite.
That's kind of Ronnie's favorite thing.
Yeah.
I mean, for you guys. For me.
So this dates back to when the podcast was getting off the ground in 1823. Was it 18?
It was a while ago.
It was
Yeah,
a while
1823.
ago.
It was a while
So
back.
this is around the time in Scotland. So basically, bottom trawling, which is a kind of fishing.
I remember that.
Bottom trawling.
Back in the
Remember?
early 1800s.
This was a big thing. Has become the
That was
standard in the
We
fishing
should have probably talked
industry.
about it then.
Yeah, we should have. Yeah. Oh, why were we talking about? What were we talking about back then? We were
Back
talking
then,
about
like straws.
In 1823,
Yeah,
like,
I think we were talking about straws.
There's a straw ban.
Yeah.
People's like the hay straw, like the ones that the farmers have in their teeth, like that.
Now, friend, the straws are used at McDonald's. Mick what now?
Mick what now? Bottom trawling has become standard in the fishing industry, damaging oyster beds. So that's what happens when you do the bottom trawling. As heavy equipment is dragged over sensitive habitats, it damages these habitats and the species that depend on them. Immobile species, which are the poor oyster, just laying there being cute.
Just
Immobile.
sitting there.
Yeah, too slow to escape.
Trying to grow pearls for the ladies.
Right, and they become collateral
gentlemen.
loss. Yeah. So oysters have long been an important, cheap source of protein in Scotland for centuries. This was something that they really depended on. So they were on they have been on the edge of extinction in the region as bottom trawling has become the primary way to harvest fin fish species. Since the 1800s, oyster populations have declined by 85%, leading to a collapse of the marine environment in the areas where they are no longer present.
Well,
So-
I feel like you should find other ways to fish, you.
Right, exactly. Write that down. Write it down. So there is a famous Scotch, and one of the things that you get on this show, besides education, is a pronunciation guide. Because you've probably seen this bottle of Scotch, single malt Scotch, for years. And wondered to yourself,
How do I say that?
how do I say this word?
Sure.
Glenmorangie.
Glenmorangie.
So you look at the bottle, it looks like it's Glenmorangie, Glenmorangie, whatever, because we're Americans and we say things wrong.
We like to say merengue.
But like over in Scotland,
And then we dance.
Yeah, they go.
Who wants some Glenmorangie?
Yeah, who's gonna pour me a glass of Glenmorangie? So
where were we?
in the
we doing a
Scottish
show?
pronunciation. Sorry, I went to.
Sorry, I blacked out there.
Blacked out for a second. For the show now, you can say it's Glenmorangie. Glenmorangie. That's how you say it.
Glenmorangie.
And I taught myself to say it correctly in my brain because the moment I heard the pronunciation, I was like, you're gonna forget.
Yeah, of course.
And I thought to myself, just remember moron.
Oh, Glenmoran.
G.
Oh, Glenmorangie.
Glenmorangie. That's what I taught it to myself.
Morangie.
Yeah, and so maybe the Scots who are listening to the show, because we're big in Scotland.
Oh, yeah?
Because we've done tons of shows
I
about
would say we're probably bigger in Scotland than we are in Portugal.
Probably. Yes. Actually, we lost a lot of Portugal listeners when we did that episode that was debunking whether or not Portugal
Was actually a country.
really a country.
Yeah.
No, but we're
It's-
big.
it's
in,
not. That's
it's
a
not.
lie.
It's
It
not.
doesn't
It's
exist.
a lie.
Yeah.
We are big in
Texas and
Scotland.
Portugal don't actually exist. Neither one.
We exist. Not exist. We are big in Scotland because we've done a lot of shows about, like, we had the Scottish cows.
Yeah,
Remember that? The milking the Scottish cows.
I-
And then we did.
I did.
We did. And then we did the show about the Scots have good energy, renewable energy sources over there. So
we're fans.
We're fans. We're fans in Scottish, and
We also like the Portuguese and the Texans.
we
For
do
the
too.
record, that was a
We do.
joke.
The Portuguese joke was just a joke, but they are Glenmorangie. So now you can go around and you can say
Glenmorangie.
Glenmorangie. The Glenmorangie distillery knows this all too well. So this was important to the oysters. The oysters make the water clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like their number one job.
Yeah.
Right? So back in
Well,
the
it's as if everything that evolved over the last, billion odd years
yeah.
had some kind of purpose on Earth.
Yeah, everybody here
Someone
was
would think
doing a
that,
job.
Yeah, it's as if there was a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny when you think about it like that, because an oyster is sitting there and it's like, my job, I clean the water. This is what I do. And then humans came along and are like, nope, gonna eat you. You know what I mean? Like,
I was gonna clean the water for you, and then he'll be very cute.
exactly. We're like, nope, gonna eat you.
No.
So it makes you wonder, humans, one day there could be somebody who arrives on this earth and they could be like, you're delicious. And we're like, no, I'm a guy. I go to my job. I take care of my kids, and
I bring top quality content.
I teach top quality.
Since
I've been podcasting for
1823.
200
Now,
years.
why would you eat me?
And he's like, I don't care. You're delicious.
So you are just delicious,
And
and,
you're like-
I would rather put a trawler on your face.
Yes, and that could happen, guys.
Yeah.
That could happen.
That could happen. Just you
Any
wait till the aliens
day.
come and put a trawler on your face.
See how
Then how
you
are you gonna
like it.
feel?
And they're like, there's pearls inside these humans.
Wow. Oh, wait, no, that's a kidney stone.
That's a kidney stone. This guy didn't drink enough water. Oysters are able to filter about 240 liters of seawater a day, which cleans any organic byproduct from the distillery, and their presence also acts as a habitat builder for other species. So this was a big part. So the Glenmorangie of the 1800s was the good stuff. That was the good stuff because the water was amazing.
Back then, people knew how to say Morangie.
They did. They said Glenmorangie. And then as the water got bad,
It became
people
Glenmorangie.
were like,
There's so many impurities in this. Let's dance.
Let's dance.
I've got such a hangover. Wow, I'm bombed.
I think I'm gonna black out. This water quality is terrible.
This water quality is ruining this whiskey. So great.
So Glenmorangie.
then they all fall down.
Yes, and then they all fall down.
They wake up the next morning and they're like, oh God.
Glenmorangie.
Glenmorangie is the worst.
I want to go back to drinking Glenmorangie.
What happened to Glenmorangie?
So
The water was so distilled by oysters.
This distillery in Scotland, which is one of the big ones, you get like if you've ever seen the fancy, if you don't know anything about scotches, there's definitely like the Coca-Cola and the Pepsi and the the top tiers, and you'd say like Glenlivet, Glenmorangie, and Glen. Maybe there's another Glen in here that I'm forgetting about, but anyway, Glenfiddich. All these fun Scottish words.
Glengarry, Glen Ross.
Glengarry, Glen Ross, Glen Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Glenn from accounting.
Glenn from accounting. This is why Glenmorangie are funding the Dornoch Environmental Enhancement Project, which is abbreviated DEEP. That's a good one, right? You know when the abbreviation, the letters give you a good word?
Yeah.
That had to have been such a victorious day when they're like, this area is called, Dornoch.
It
It's called
is.
something. Yeah, Dornoch something. It's called like the Dornoch Firth, not Colin Firth. The Dornoch Firth. So they're sitting there and they're like,
Of all the Firths, the Dornoch is the best.
is the best.
Yeah.
Is the best. So the Dornoch Firth, they sat there and they're like, well, we know we want to enhance the environment, and it's a project. What's this area called?
Let's call it the Dornoch Project for Enhancing the Environment. DP. No. Let's call it the Environmental Enhancement Project of the Dorns. EEPD? No.
No, I feel like we're close, guys.
Let's call it
I feel like we're
the
close.
Dornoch Environmental Project Enhancement.
Deppy.
Deppy. No.
No, we're really.
Why can't we get this?
Why can't we get this?
It's driving me crazy.
Totally. So it's a good one. It's a good one because sometimes you see an organization and their abbreviation, you're like, yikes, that's not fun to say or spell out or whatever.
Flurbaptibom.
They do great work.
They do great
Flurbaptibom?
work. Oh God.
They do such good things.
Oh yeah.
So in collaboration with Edinburgh's Heriot Way University and Marine Conservation Society, researchers with DEEP went to nearby Loch Ryan. Loch
is Scottish for lake, for those of you who aren't familiar
Loch Ryan.
with Loch Ness.
Yes, Loch Ness.
And other lochs.
Home to one of the last oyster fisheries in Scotland, to predict what the results of reintroducing oysters in Dornoch Firth would result in.
Okay.
So they're reintroducing them. We have the Glenmorangies, the Glenmorangies.
Where are they getting the oysters?
Let's see.
Okay.
The fishery is unusual because it uses a rotating harvesting system in which they harvest only specific areas, then let them regenerate for 6 years before harvesting again. The researchers studied the 3 plots, each having been harvested 1, 3, 6 years prior. They found that marine biodiversity significantly increased according to how long that plot had been left unharvested. So they figured out a system.
I think this is, we could say, duh. Can't we?
Yeah, but apparently for a long time they were like, we'll never run out of oysters.
We'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
We can just trawl the crap out of this whole thing.
Which is, wouldn't you say that that's probably what we've learned the most doing this show for 200 years is that humans had been in the past incredibly short-sighted.
Yeah.
Like it's just been like, let's just do this today. What about tomorrow? We'll worry about that when we get there. You know what I mean? Like in everything.
Yeah.
Waste.
We had the mind of a con artist.
Yeah.
Survive the day.
Survive the day.
Survive the day and don't worry about tomorrow until tomorrow comes. That's absolutely, that's been the problem.
That's been the problem.
You can look at every environmental area and you could say the same thing and we'd be all right, which is don't overdo it.
Right.
Like if you were farming and you pick, okay, these are the paddocks we're gonna do, and then okay, when that year's over, then we're gonna do these paddocks and let that one go. And you keep doing that and you rotate it so that you're not just working the crap out of one spot.
Yeah.
You're good. Foresting, right?
Yeah,
when
foresting.
people are cutting down trees. If you cut down the right amount of trees in the right amount of places, it's healthy for the forest.
Right.
If you let the forest regenerate, it's not a problem.
Right.
But if you just clear the whole thing away and just get rid of it, well, then
Right.
you get a desert.
Right.
It's just it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
If you think, and so obviously, if you did the same thing in water, in lakes, and in the ocean, you would yes,
Right.
things would regenerate
Right.
because you wouldn't be constantly freaking dumping machinery all over. 'em.
Right. Right. And
Killing
so
my poor oyster friends.
you poor oyster friend.
Yeah, you look like guys.
The thing that surprises me the most is
My name's Wanold the oyster.
I wish I could. What's his name?
Wanold.
Wanold the oyster.
I just want to make a public service announcement
Okay.
that you should stop crushing my friends with your fishing equipment. Please.
Please. This has been a message from Ronald the oyster. So I have an issue. We lost Ronnie.
She's dead now.
She's dead. She's dead.
She probably had some of that Glenmorangie.
Yeah, Glenmorangie.
She's just blacked out.
So, here's the interesting philosophical question.
Yeah.
So you'd like to think that as a species, as humans, and in some part we have,
Okay.
we've improved
Yes.
and we've looked.
I mean, we've improved.
yes, we are obviously.
Yeah.
We've improved because we're trying to make it better. But the sad realization is the only reason we're even here.
Yeah.
It's because we're running out of stuff.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I mean? Like, and we
keep
cause the
realizing,
damage.
We keep realizing that, wait, we needed that.
Yes.
It
yes.
is. I mean, it's the pure example of short-sightedness.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And I think that's the for me that's the bummer is of course there was somebody in 1915 or whatever
Yep.
who was like, if we overfish, we're gonna run out of fish, and they were like, shut up, Bob. You know what I mean? Like
Bob, you're cutting into profits.
cutting into profits.
Yeah.
And
People
it's
need to eat, Bob.
Yeah.
You know, they're throwing away a lot of fish now. Shut up, Bob.
exactly. And it just kept going and going and going, and there was a lot of people along the way that were giving these warning signs, and it's just unfortunate. And now I'm happy that they're doing what they're doing. But you just look at it where we are now, where there's so many efforts to conserve, save, protect, restore, regenerate. Mm-hmm. And it's a philosophy of helping the planet. But a lot of it isn't because you look at the thing and you go, oh no.
We actually needed that.
We needed that. Oh no, the farm is dried up and we can't grow any crops. Oh
Right.
no, the ocean, nothing's thriving anymore. It all came out of doing too much damage. And I mean, that's what somebody would say, that's climate change in a nutshell.
But
That's
here's
what
the
it is.
part that isn't covered, though. And this is where you get only top quality content from Biofriendly Planet.
That's why
and not
we
elsewhere.
bring the hits
We
here.
bring the hits.
Yes.
Is that very consistently, we are finding that when you step back for a moment and leave the area alone,
Yes.
like the earth regenerates.
Yeah.
It does actually take care of itself and bring it back. Now, if you completely wipe out a species of oyster, you've blown it.
Yeah.
They're gone, right? But if you've got some left
Yeah.
and you leave them alone for a while and just let them
back.
go,
Yeah.
they'll come back.
Yeah.
Stop doing the thing you're doing and they'll return. If you stop over farming the land,
Yeah.
it will regenerate. It will come back. Like this keeps happening over and over again where people say, no, it's going to be the end of the world. We'll have destroyed it forever is not true.
Yeah.
When we let these things go back to their natural state and do what they're supposed to do and stop messing with them all the time, I didn't drop an F-bomb.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. The world fixes itself. It really does.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing, actually, how well the world fixes itself. So to me, the biggest lesson in the last 200 years of us doing this is the biggest thing we have to do is learn how to get out of the way.
Yeah. Oh, that's a well said point. Learn how to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because we're constantly for our own needs, our own desire to have all of the stuff.
Yeah.
We're inserting ourselves in the way and causing the problem.
Yeah.
So let's start thinking about how can we get the same result or a similar result or a result that's acceptable enough that the rest of us can figure out a way around it.
Yeah.
And then not mess with the poor wino oyster.
Exactly. And it's also this ability we got so good at generating food and, things for people that we overdo it. And then there ends up being stuff thrown and the garbage and in the waste. You know what I mean? It's like
Well, how many
just
times did parents tell you that, don't you know, there's
starving
kids
children
in
Africa. Yeah. That was
or
a
as Al
common-
Yankovic once wisely said in the classic song, "Eat it." Well, don't you know that children there are starving in Japan, so eat it.
Yeah. So he switched the narrative.
He knew that they were starving in Japan.
Yeah,
I mean, the
yeah.
Japanese didn't know that it was that big of a problem,
But he knew.
But Al knew.
He was informed.
Yeah, he knew.
A lot of people don't know. We're like Al Yankovic.
A lot of ways, I feel like we are.
Because I think people look at us and they go, these guys are silly.
Yeah.
But we're here to teach you in the silliest ways.
You need to know that kids are starving in Japan.
Kids are starving in Japan. So it's true. It's true that when we were kids, we were like, you better
sorry.
clean your plate. No.
That joke was just brilliant because even at the time, when he wrote it, that was like when Japan was on the rise, like the most efficient, affluent, successful area in the entire planet.
Yes.
Like if there was one place where very few people were starving, it was Japan.
Yeah.
It was just so perfectly done.
Yeah. It's clever.
Yeah.
It's clever, right? And so that's the thing is we now, I know we've talked about this a ton when it comes to composting and food waste and trying not to waste everything. And I think that now people are realizing like I don't need to have so much food in my house that will go bad that it ends up in the trash. Mm-hmm. But this is another example of something where people just figured out like, oh, well, we can get this many this fast all the time.
Right.
And then once you start scooping or trawling or whatever, and you find you go, where are all the oysters? Like, well, you killed them all.
Yeah, I hope that this is to tap into last week's podcast a little bit.
Okay.
My fervent hope.
I love that word. Fervent.
Fervent.
Yes.
Is that the onset of AI taking away all of the, kind of the sit down at a desk jobs, mm-hmm. and all of the sort of kind of not active out there jobs, mm-hmm. is that people start to kind of go out and become like one with the world again. Yeah. And that because they now have time and they now have to do something, that you start fishing, in a more sustainable kind of like not so mass produced kind of way, that you get people like, you know what, I'm gonna be a fisher person. Right. And I'm gonna get a boat. Yeah. And I'm gonna catch enough fish to support my family and to make a little bit of money. Yeah. And that's it. Like that's the kind of things that people might find that they have to do because otherwise they won't have anything to do. Right. Because all the things that we do now will be done. Like we talked about Inside Out. Mm-hmm. We're not very many years away. And this is why there's a writer's strike. One of the reasons, by the way. Yeah. We're not very many years away from a producer to be like, okay, so AI, I want a movie about a duck who learns how to love because he lost his mother and he meets a frog, and the frog is, really friendly and great, and they have an unexpected love relationship, and turn it into an animated movie that is 2 hours long with 6 characters, and probably like 80% of it's funny, and then put some heart at the end. And then the AI will generate that movie. And it'll be kind of formulaic and kind of simple, but you know what? It'll make people cry and it'll work, and they'll make their money. Yeah. And now you've just fired the 15,000 people you needed to make that movie in the past.
AI is like, here's Step on the Quacks.
Step on the Quacks.
That you asked for.
The story of a duck and a frog falling in love. Yes. Against all odds. Yes. Right? Yeah. Like this is the thing, right? Yeah. So the people who are actually able to do it and want to do it for art's sake as humans, it's going to be a little more like Broadway, a little more like theater. It's going to be an old-fashioned specific kind of thing that people want and they go get and still make some money, but less people will do it. Yeah, it's true. And it'll be less popular, and you got more people who are just going to be like, what the hell do I do all day? And I'm hoping that turns into maybe more like
everybody's environmental. Yeah, everybody's just connected with nature a little bit more.
Well, go back to the old days when you had to get your food yourself.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I also brought up another interesting point, which is back to the AI thing and about this, is that now we have, obviously computing and processing information is a part of our world now. So if you're in a room and you have a guy, Greg, and he's like sitting there with the oyster people, mm-hmm. and he comes in and he's like, according to these numbers, we're going to run out of oysters in 2 more years. Everybody's like, oh, shut up, Greg. And he's like,
Shut up, Greg.
Shut up, Greg. And so he's got the information. But what I wonder is people are going to go, with AI, calling back to last week, they're going to be like, well, it's a fact. It's not an opinion. It's running the data that we've been giving it, and it's saying that this is the case. And it would be a lot less it would be less difficult to it would be more difficult to deny the science and the information that's being presented. So I wonder if that will also change how research is conducted. Or
I think it'll change how research is conducted for sure. I think that you'll be able to find more data, right? You'll be able to get stuff that's really well sourced,
really accurate,
and put together and pretty accurate. I don't know if people are going to believe it.
Yeah. People are people, right? And profit and money will make anybody, ignore whatever they want. You know what I mean? Like they'll go, I know that the AI said that we're going to run out of oysters, but are we really going to run out of oysters? Like people are going to still do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It'll be really interesting to see how the next 30 years go.
Yeah.
Because we haven't even, like AI, we all kind of knew that this was maybe a thing. But it hit us out of nowhere a little bit. Like it
came fast.
It suddenly was like slam. Oh crap, that's really good.
Yeah.
Like in a year, it went from something that you're kind of maybe somebody was showing you a drawing that they did in the style of a thing, like to everybody's got an Instagram account with their AI art and it's fantastic.
It's fantastic. I mean, I can verify. Our kids got together and played Dungeons and Dragons, and they made their characters, and they call me into their room, and they're like, "Dad, check this out." They plugged in just a few descriptors about their characters in the game, and out pops the most unbelievably cool rendered illustration of a D&D character that would have been on the cover of a D&D manual back in the day. I mean, just instant. Like that.
Yep.
So it did come on fast.
Yeah.
It came on really fast, and we'll see where it goes.
I feel
like I'm echoing
we're
last
back to the last week's episode. I know.
But anyway.
It'll be interesting to see because I think that the next thing that hit, like, I have a feeling over the next 30 years, there's going to be a lot of surprising, massive sea changes in technology that make people go, whoa, hey, what?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Lots of that.
And I think it's either going to turn us into the laziest, slovenly Wally people that ever lived.
Yeah.
Or back into like indigenous people who are like, well, that's the digital world and I don't live in it. So I'm just going to have my land and have my space and do my thing.
Yeah, well, we shall see. But I would imagine that AI and technology are going to only, as the show continues, become more a part of the conversation. Because it's in every news story now, so everything's going to have it now.
When they created the nuclear bomb, they couldn't put the cat back in the box. Is that right? Cat
sure.
Couldn't put
cat back in the bag. Cat
back
in the bag.
In the bag. They couldn't put the frog back in the oyster.
But couldn't put the frog back in the oyster.
Yeah, that's more appropriate for today's episode.
Yeah. Especially the movie that we're gonna make with AI about the frog and the oyster and the duck.
It's gonna be so good.
So good.
Yeah. Step on the quack.
Step on the quack.
Yeah, I just think that you can't undo it. You can't unsee it. Yeah. It's not like that's not how we work. We don't stop.
Yeah.
So definitely it'll be more in our lives. It'll be everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just what will that do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I'm going to explain just a little bit more about the thing.
About the topic we're supposed to be talking about?
I'm just going to say, that's the thing is like, you get it, Glenmorangie is doing their best to preserve the oysters and make it not overfish. But it's an interesting thing to think about because you have these big companies, Scotch whiskey. It's like we have a responsibility. And so you want to see more and more of that. You just want to see more and more big brands and companies being like, hey, we don't want to mess up the environment anymore.
I think it's like, look, the profit motive works both ways, right? If it works for you to make money, then if this is where the Lorax was inaccurate.
Yeah.
And then Lorax, for those of you who have canceled Dr. Seuss and won't read it, is a story about a mustachioed fella who's trying to speak for the trees and protect them from a guy who's making these fantastic clothing items called thneeds. And the guy who's making these thneeds is like, there's plenty of trees. I can make thneeds. Everyone needs thneeds. And so he's making all these thneeds, makes this fantastically large, unbelievable business. His name is the Onceler.
Yeah.
And he successfully makes this gigantic business, but cuts down all the trees. And then the Lorax, who's trying to keep him from doing that and keeps telling him, don't do it. You're gonna kill all the trees.
Yeah.
Then the Onceler's like, quiet you, we're gonna get it.
Yeah.
And so then he finally cuts down the last tree, and then it's gone. It's gone, and there are no more of the truffula trees that once existed.
Yeah.
And that's the sad lesson that Dr. Seuss was trying to say at the time. Let's be careful what we do, because if we use the environment too poorly for business, we're going to run out of beautiful truffula trees.
Yeah.
Great message, partially accurate.
Yeah.
Because capitalism does, and I often attack it on this show, but I'll say the other side of it. It cuts both ways. Actually, what a business would do is they would realize, almost too late, but not too late, that that they can't keep making thneeds without trees, and the profit will stop. Mm-hmm. So they have to get more trees.
Right.
And so they would then come up with an efficient way to make more trees.
Right.
That's what they do. And that's what you're seeing here is you've got this company that's like, oh my God, everybody thinks it's called Glenmorangie now. And they're all getting bombed and blacking out on the floor.
Drinking bad water.
Drinking bad water when they're supposed to be having pure, beautiful, distilled Glenmorangie.
Morangi. Correct.
And so they're like, well, we've got to fix this. And we've done our research and realized that it's because we've been killing off all the oysters.
Right.
So we're going to cut trawling off on all these areas and we're going to bring them back.
Yeah.
That's very logical. That's something that a business that wants to survive and keep making their whiskey will do. And that's also what will happen, I think, in a lot of other industries
figure it
as
out.
well.
Right.
So, it's a doom and gloom world. That's how you get people to move. That's how you get people to do things. Mm-hmm. A lot of this is very serious. A lot of this requires attention. But it's not like it's just going to fall apart because the system's so hopeless and broken that it will. No. People who want to make money want to keep making money. They don't want to run out of oxygen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's well said. Yeah. That's well said. Part of Glenmorangie's sustainability drive is also they built an anaerobic digester built in 2017 to clean the waste produced by the distillery. An anaerobic digester.
I got one of those in my pants.
Such as barley from the fermentation process. So traditionally, we've discharged waste into the Firth, not Colin Firth, the Firth.
The Dornoch, the Dornoch Firth.
Dornoch Firth, that's what it is. Waste in the Firth, says Edward Tom, the distillery manager. What we do now is remove 97% of the waste product prior to it being discharged. The remaining 3% is then cleaned by the oyster beds that we're currently planning as part of the Deep project. So good for them. Good for you, Glenmorangie. I think it's amazing. Yeah. I do have a kind of a funny, because we're talking about the area. I'm gonna say it on the show, even though it's a little risque.
Ooh,
it's a little risque.
Jacob's finally gonna get beeped
because I'm gonna get beeped. So it's just a funny video that was sent to me, and I was like, we just talked about Loch being lake, we talked about Scotland, and when I saw this, I was like, I'm gonna say it on the podcast at some point in time. But if you have children in the car, anyway, they think that the Loch Ness monster image was a whale penis.
What? A whale penis? Mm-hmm. What was a whale doing in Loch Ness?
I don't know. They think that this image of the thing that was taken was actually a whale's doink.
What?
Yeah, because they have all these images now of what that looks like.
We've all been examining whale penises the last little while.
Scientists have.
And they're like, yeah.
They're going,
hello there.
Exactly.
I'm Dr. Smuggler. I've looked at 1,000 whale penises, and they all look like the Loch Ness monster.
Yes. So they have this image that they showed, and they
was poor whale ladies.
I know.
It's like, oh my God, it's a monster.
So they have these photos of it, and you go, and then you see the silhouette of the Loch Ness that's been used for all these years, and you go, it does look exactly like, that's exactly what it looks like when it comes out above the surface of the water. That just the shape of it and everything. And so I was like, oh my God. So as for, I know Loch Ness is a lake. It's like, how does it? But they're saying that this image was of an ocean and of a place where a whale had done that, and this person just ran with that legend, with that tale, with that story, and saying this was right here in this water. It's a creature. It's scary, but it was actually just a whale being like, "Check me out. What's up, guys?" And that was it.
I got a dong like a monster.
Exactly. So anyway,
wow, I don't believe that.
You
for
don't believe
second.
it. You don't believe it. You don't buy it.
There is a monster that lives in Loch Ness.
Sure is.
And her name is Nessie.
Okay.
And she's lovely.
Of course.
She protects the oysters. And anyone who says otherwise is a write that down.
So, I mean, it's not necessarily have any relation to whiskey or oysters or anything other than I just thought it was fascinating. But Noel's here to say he doesn't believe it, so continue believing in Nessie.
I think that you can have both Nessie and whale penises. I'm not someone.
They're not mutually
No.
exclusive. You can have both.
You can have both.
You can have your
Why?
cake.
Why
and-
just because there's one doesn't mean you can't have the
You
other?
can have your cake and whale penis
What
too.
if we saw tomorrow the Loch Ness monster actually in life?
Yeah.
What? Do all whales now have to lose their penis?
Right.
No, whales can still have penises.
They can still have it, and we can still have Nessie.
Yes.
Okay. I agree.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
These people making these videos are trying to rob us of an amazing legend
Yes.
that inspires people everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say next? That
There's no Bigfoot?
Sasquatch was a bear?
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
Bears don't walk around
What
with
it-
2 feet,
No.
looking like the guy from Harry and the Hendersons.
That's right. What am I going to do with all this Sasquatch memorabilia that I own in my house? My house is filled with Sasquatch memorabilia. And you're going to tell me that's just a bear and I've just been collecting bear stuff all this time? What?
Jacob, I've got it.
What?
When we do our D&D thing,
Okay.
I want to be
A
a Sasquatch healer.
Okay, Sasquatch healer.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Sasquatch,
But also a healer.
but a healer.
Okay.
Not terribly strong.
No.
Or fit.
Just you can heal
Or
people.
attractive.
Okay.
Or helpful.
All right. Healing is helpful.
Yeah, he's good at that.
Very helpful.
But he's very, he kind of does it grudgingly. It's
Okay.
like,
Okay. So he's got an attitude about it.
fine.
It's his lot in life.
Yes.
Is that he knows he can do it, but he's
Yes.
not happy.
And he's a
about it.
vegetarian, so he's always hungry.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
By the way,
That makes him a little grumpy.
By the way, this is a way that AI will never win when
Yeah.
it comes to creativity. Because there's no way an AI comes up with that nonsense. Humans will always prevail when it comes to stories.
When it
'Cause
comes to nonsense and chaos,
Yes.
that's what we're built for.
That's what we're built for.
That's
Because
us.
you just whip something out that a computer, like I can already see the back of the computer smoking. Because it's like, what are you talking about? Like it doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
And we're like, exactly, AI, exactly.
Yeah.
We don't make any sense. We eat all the oysters and then wonder where did all the oysters go?
Do you know what actually will be interesting? This is a positive for AI.
Okay.
When people can use it to make all of their wild, insane things reality,
Yeah.
and then AI learns about those insane, wild things, and then incorporates them into the universe.
Yeah.
So now AI knows how to do it because it's been done.
It's been done.
That's only like the human experience is then to go a step further to figure out what's next.
To break the boundaries of
Yeah.
what's been done.
I just can't wait to see what I think it'll challenge people to become more human.
Yeah.
This is my thought. This is where I think it will go. I know that the people
This is the most hopeful I've ever heard
the singularity folks on the world who think we're all going to die because of AI. I actually don't. I think that it's a challenge. It's a challenge for humans. It's always been a challenge for humans. Like how can we survive in this scenario?
Yeah.
I think we can. I think we will. I think it'll challenge people to just be better.
And if you hear Noel saying that, then you know it's good. That's the good stuff.
It's because I'm a grumpy bugger.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Well, you guys, that's been Oysters and Whiskey for you today. What do you guys want to do for lunch? Oysters and whiskey?
I love it.
Yeah,
I actually don't eat oysters
Yeah.
because I love them.
'Cause you-
I like to make sure that they're fine. They'll be okay. If I do, I want to eat Ronald.
I want you to, in Ronald's voice, I want you to say the famous Jeff Goldblum quote from Jurassic Park, because you just referenced earlier.
Wife finds a way. Your wife finds a way? No. I said wife finds a way.
Why are you talking about my wife?
No, I'm talking about your wife. I'm talking about wife. Wife finds a way. It's because you have to keep living.
Well said, Ronald.
Thanks.
Well said. You guys, thank you so much for joining us for what I love about this show, which is we're here to teach you, but we're also here to be ridiculous. And we hope you never forget it. So
Don't let me forget my character from D&D.
I won't let you forget.
Yeah.
How much we just lost a computer. You coming up with that?
Because I think this is the one.
This is the one.
I think that's the one.
It's amazing. Thank you guys for listening. As always, please share the show, comment, like, subscribe, do all the things. Let everybody know about the Biofriendly podcast. And make sure to visit us on Biofriendly Planet, which is going to look really sweet when next time you go check that page. It's going to look amazing. So we've done a really nice site overhaul. You're going to want to come check it out. It's going to look glorious. So a lot of exciting things on the horizon. So continue to stay with us, and we care about you so much. So with that, we say. We are your beacon of light in a gloomy environment.
Bringing you top quality content since 1823.
Science without the shaming? No, I missed this one. A stiffness.
Without the shaman.
Science without the shaman.
Yeah.
Science without the stiffness.
Green without the groaning.
That's it. And then, oh boy. I'm not already to the new one, which is, no. It's not the new one. It's inspiring fear and love.
The next one is patience.
Right? Yes.
It's all about patience on the show. This
show is about.
show is about patience.
And I have the new one. It's me now, right? Careful. You're gonna catch feelings. You might catch feelings.
And
Careful.
There has been a battle between the
Corn Dog Rogers and Kerosene Guy have been a long life battle in my head.
Lifelong battle, yeah.
Corn Dog Rogers
And Kerosene
Guy have had a lifelong battle in my head.
Yes.
have had a long life battle.
Yeah. I had a
Okay.
lifelong battle. Yeah.
Okay.
Love it. It's perfect. Love it.
This show is a joke.
This show is the joke, and it always will be.
Yeah.
And with that, Veronica says,
Stop and smell the flowers.
It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.